resembles me because I'm short. But it also not reminds me, but it's what God has given me and blessed me with 3 children. And these were when they were small. And but that's something that I just, being a parent, and has been the most challenging and rewarding and loving and giving and everything I could possibly think about as being a mom. And that's what I wanted to remember. And it's ugly.
It is not.
No, it's not.
Although it's beautiful.
I'm not going to speak. I don't public speak.
I'll do mine next. Mine is going to be short and sweet. But when I was little, I stayed with my grandmother because my mother had to go to work when I was 2. And she let me cook a lot. And of course, we didn't get to make fancy things because she didn't have the money to buy a lot of fancy things for us to cook. But as I got older, we would make cookies. And then when I became a mother, that was one of our favorite things to do with my children, and then my grandchildren, and now my great-grandchildren are beginning to like to make cookies. They really don't care how they turn out. They just want to put the cookie cutter, and sometimes one cookie cutter goes on top of the other, but that's okay. That's what they want to do. But that's my memory of when I was little, starting to cook.
Donna Rakestraw? Tell us about yours. It's so good.
Y'all do y'all. What good's a story if you can't tell it?
I can't understand
Can you get my copy?
While she's getting hers, I'll just say that a narrative is something that can be written or told or manifested in clay. So if words are not your language, then clay can be. So sometimes there aren't words to say how you feel.
This is really not a story. I guess it could be my story. My dad was always a farmer. My granddaddy was a farmer. My husband is a farmer. And when he spends all the money and he goes through all the weather damage that we're doing this year, I tell him he better be glad he married a farmer's daughter. Because I don't fuss and I don't say anything about expense, but cotton has always been a part of our life. My husband raised cotton this year for the first time in 12 years. I didn't realize it'd been that long, but you know, we have to go by what's price we can get and how much things cost, and the weather, of course, plays a big factor in it. And this was the first time in 12 years. Robbie has been nice enough to paint me some pictures for my children, because now they've got all these boys and girls too that like to ride the cotton picker, and they like the machines, and they like the horsepower. So anyway, they're not, but like Bo's like nine years old, but he's been helping Steve with the cotton, so cotton has always been a part of my life. Yeah, the cotton picker looked like lemon like that.
I'm not very talented. I've enjoyed this class a lot. It's gotten me out of my comfort zone, to say the least. But this was a little illustration in a Christmas book I bought for our 3 grandsons when they were real little. Now, we've got 3, a 7-year-old, the youngest, a 12-year-old, and a 13-year-old. And I think the 2 oldest ones knew from day one that Nana was a teacher and enjoyed reading to them and wanted them to read to her. And that was, honest to goodness, one of the few books that I could get that was short and sweet. And they would sit still long enough to listen to it. So this is just a memory of time I spent with my 3 precious grandsons.
That was their favorite.
I had so many memories. Oh, sorry. You want to do it? I had so many memories that I knew about this class because Miss Ladine Goodrich had told me we met at Hobby Lobby and she was getting the paint for her story thing, and she told me about it, and I told her that I was in the next class. And so we ride in the wagons, me and my husband, and all the kids did, but they're grown now, they have jobs, they don't get to do it. And they all had a horse. But before that, even when I was a young girl, I used to pick up airheads and stuff. And when one of my uncles was clearing off some land, and I have 5 kids, but 3 of them were like 14 months apart. When one of my cousins found a pipe in it, well, I just had to go down there, and that was before 4-wheelers and side-by-sides and stuff, which we have now, because we still look for airheads. But I carried 2 kids on each hip, and I was pregnant with the other one. Because I had to get down there, because I had to see what all I could find. And this was one of my first things that I found. It was a piece of pottery. But I saved all my stuff, and I knew wherever I went where all my stuff, where it came from. So I guess when I had grandkids, I took one of my grandkids to see a reenactment they were having on Black Zion Road. Well, when I did, the neighbor's daughter, Miss Martha Coleman from Pontoc, she's the curator at Pontoc Museum, she said, go home and get all your stuff and bring them back and let him look at them. So when he seen this, he was really, really excited about what I had found, because it showed that the Chickasaw Indians had traded with people from Texas. But these are some of my best finds. Well, this Chickasaw bell my uncle gave to me, and this arrowhead is a curved arrowhead. I've never seen a curved arrowhead. But these are some of my best finds, and me and my uncle, we still look because both of us are at home. And Christmas for me, we have Christmas and stuff, but one of my sons is in the military, so when I have Christmas, my Christmas is when my 2 boys get to come home from living in Houston and living off in the military, that me and them get to go look for arrowheads.
Wow.
You might as well.
Just tell us the story.
We're not potters either.
Mine is not about my early childhood, it's about my old childhood. About 10 years ago, I found my passion. Someone had asked me earlier, what is your passion? And I said, I don't know, staying alive, raising my son, I didn't know. But I found wildflowers about 10 years ago. I didn't even know they were there, but then all of a sudden my eyes were opened, and everywhere you look are wildflowers. So I started just walking through the woods. We live next to the National Forest, Tombigbee National Forest. So I just started looking for wildflowers everywhere, and that's my passion.
You want to tell us your story? I think it's going to be up here on the front. This is the home we live in now, but my children were raised there. And this big tree in the swing was very memorial in their lives and our lives. We had a road swing, and the kids swang in that constantly. There's the little person that's here, that's my daughter. She played outside with her dolls and moved her house from one place to another. And my little boy, there was no grass under this tree because he farmed. He took his tractors and he plowed it up and planted crops, and he harvested his crops. And so this is just home to us, that's all it is. That's Nan. Is Nan here? Nan Shivadusser? That was her. I think so. Yeah. I don't know if that is, do you know which cat is hers?
I think it's that one with
The story is,
the story is amazing.
it is amazing. We'll just tell it even though she's not here. That's Thornsby, and is it gonna be this one or that one over there? It's that one. Okay. She says, when my family first viewed a vacant Scandinavian farmhouse in Thornsby, Alabama in 1991, there was a cat stretched across the front porch. He was a good-sized male, very distinctive shaped swirl on his sides, and he paid us little mind that day, but showed up a few weeks after we moved in, and we named him Thornsby. As is their nature, Thornsby the cat continued to come and go at will for several months. He was friendly, allowed a certain amount of petting, and killed a few pests to pay his way. His amount of time at the house slowly increased until he became more or less our full-time cat. 2 years later, my husband's job was suddenly relocated to Louisville, Mississippi, so we put the house up for sale by owner. Because we'd done a fair amount of remodeling, there was a good deal of curious traffic on the day of the open house. Several people knew Thornsby through a variety of aliases. We've all known a cat like that, haven't we? One lady who said she lived about 5 or 6 miles away as the crow flies had known our cat for several years. So late in August, moving day saw Thornsby tucked into a carrier along with a recently acquired stray kitten. The trip was about 165 miles over both narrow, winding country roads and busy 4-lane highways. We crossed 2 sizable rivers, went through a variety of small towns. It took us hours. Thornsby lay around our new house eating and sleeping. He seemed fine with the new living arrangements, but made no effort to explore the new neighborhood or the wooded area. And he got fat. On October 1st, Thornsby went missing. For days we called and searched and had hoped he would miraculously reappear as he had so many times in Alabama, but he didn't. On Thanksgiving Day, there was a telephone call from the new owners of the farmhouse in Thornsby. Thornsby the cat had that day arrived in time to enjoy the holiday scraps. He was thin and dirty and worn bloody paws from 2 months on the road. But it didn't matter to Thornsby. He was clearly where he wanted to be. And that was Nan Shivadusser. Yeah. Everybody's got so many good stories.
Oh, I know.
Is there anybody else that hadn't told their story who might want to? I see my mother-in-law didn't make it today. She was our oldest student. She did this, her home, when she was growing up. And she started it, and then she didn't want to finish it. And I thought, well, your grandchildren will want that. And she said, I was so poor, it makes me sad to think about those days. She was talking about her house being propped up on rocks. And, you know, when we look back at it, we don't necessarily have bad memories. We just think of it as a nostalgic time. But I talked her into finishing it at least, and but she couldn't make it today. She's 92 and she didn't feel well, but she did finish it. So one of the grandkids will get that, but this is Juanita Smith's.
I'm trying to make that thorns because it's dog facing the cat.
Well, another one of Nan Shivadecker's,
Yeah.
is this one right here, and it's, our man and her daughter. They're in Greece, I believe, and someone took a photograph of them holding hands at Delphi. And so she captured that memory in clay.
Jill, here's one with Jen. Yeah,
Okay. That's gonna be, is Sandra Ford here? This is gonna be hers. This is ice skating. This is the Sarter sisters. This was in the 1960s in Ripley, Mississippi, and she lived on a farm, and she remembers that after many days of freezing temperatures, the electricity cut off and a light fluffy snow fell, and they had a gas space heater to keep them warm, so they were eating soup and drinking hot chocolate. And as her dad went out to check the livestock, he broke the ice on the pond with a pickaxe. And he found out that the pond had enough ice on it that the kids could go out and skate. And so that's the three sisters wobbling around, skating on the pond. And she said, yes, I have pictures of the Sarter girls in their red Buster Brown coats and boots. And she's got them on handy there. Gail, is there anybody else that you see that we might get enticed to tell their story?
Would anybody else like to? I'd like to say that I looked up the definition of lifelong learning, and it said it's the ongoing, voluntary, and this is the most important, self-motivated pursuit of knowledge. So creativity takes courage, and so y'all made an effort to come and do something new. And I suspect that that's how you live your whole life, by watching you, because whatever we talked about, whatever challenge there was, you just did it. You just got the clay and did it. And we'll never be old if we keep doing that, if we keep thinking along those lines. So I just want to say that it was an honor for me to be a part of this, and I appreciate you.
We appreciate you too.
Reva.
Where is she?
She's trying to hide the woodwork back here.
She's always quiet, she's always cleaning up our messes and making us straighten everything up. And this all couldn't have happened without her being there, helping us, keeping our things together. I appreciate both of y'all so much, and we thank y'all all for participating, and hopefully after Christmas we'll get going again on our pottery studio and the third set of classes. So, you know, when you write what you're going to do and how you're going to do it, it all looks good on paper, but when it comes to actually putting your hands in the clay, sometimes it takes a little bit longer than you thought it might. So some of us didn't get finished, and some of us want to go back and do some more, and so we hope that once the holidays are over, we can do that. I don't know if y'all remember Kent, my grandson, who made the whistle. He calls me every day and says, can I go make something? And where did Miss Gail find my stuff? And he called me last night about 7:30. He said, I'm going to take all my stuff to school tomorrow. I said, no, you're not. You know, he's got cups and saucers and platters and stuff that he's made. And
Whistles.
so I think that it might not be a good idea for him to take them to school yet. But there's a variety of our whistles we made. And if y'all have never tried to make a clay whistle, it is one of the most satisfying things I've ever done.
You can do it.
When it works, oh my goodness. We've got a lot of food and drink, and I want y'all to enjoy the camaraderie, and I want y'all to, when you're ready, to take your things with you.